mistake. I didn't expect to get a lot of calls on that because we are humans who don't like to point out that we have made any mistakes. Sometimes that's tough because we all have made some buttes. But we did get a call from a lady who said her biggest mistake was she got an invitation to her brother-in-law, I think brother-in-law's wedding. Anyway, and they asked that she not bring her 7-month-old baby. I guess it was a standard thing. I don't know. And she didn't, and she regretted it because somebody on the other side, some people on the other side, did bring babies. What do you think about that? Is that insulting to invite somebody to a wedding and ask them not to bring their infants? What do you think? I guess we can talk about that because I don't know what Emily Post would have to say about that. Or Miss Manners, or any of that crowd. But in any event, it's pretty good material for our talk show. Then I said, in starting off, that I'd like to talk to a bigamist, and we've had, we did do that one time, and got a bigamist who became a regular caller. I mean, he didn't come to the wacko parties or anything, but he became a regular caller. I'd like to talk to a bigamist. If there's one out there, I'd like to know a little bit more about that. How much pressure does that bring into your life, and is it worth it? Of course not. I'd like to talk to a former hippie, somebody that was really involved as a flower child, and as the years have passed, I'd like to know what changes in attitude and the whole thing. Then I want to talk to somebody who pays no income taxes, and we can of course protect your identity. We'll use a phony name and a phony address. We'll talk about all of that and lots more. We're going to be wide open today, gang, and we're going to go now to Marianna, Florida, and talk to Debra. Hello, Miss Debra.
Hi, Luddy.
How are you?
I'm just fine.
Good.
The subject of taking children to a wedding.
Yeah.
I really don't think it's a place, especially for little babies and all.
Yeah.
Because, like, I was just at a wedding a couple weeks ago, and right when they were getting ready to exchange vows, there was a child that just went to screaming, and, the parent didn't get up and take the child out, but just during the whole time, it was just hearing a screaming child. And they provided a nursery and everything else, but, when you go to such as that, it's a very, not necessarily solemn, but it's a very joyous occasion.
Well, it's solemn and it's joyous.
Yeah, that's true. And you want to be able to exchange your vows and be heard. That really just, and the parents couldn't even hear the vows exchanging them when their children were exchanging them.
Yeah, and sometimes I worry about folks who don't realize that their child is disturbing somebody else, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. I don't know whether they have made arrangements to blank that out in their own mind or what, but yeah, I think that's pretty rude.
I don't know what it is, but especially like when they make the arrangements, they had a nursery right there at the church, and where the children could be taken care of, and it wasn't like it was having to put the parents out on an inconvenience. But
Well, we've all had trouble getting babysitters, and we all understand that.
Oh, definitely.
And we all love the babies.
Oh, yeah, we love our little ones.
And sometimes I think we get mad about things that we shouldn't get mad about. I think that's a simple request, and if the child is old enough to understand it and sit there and behave himself, wonderful. I'd like to have him there, yeah.
And, like I said, especially when the families provide someone to take care of in the facility, the parents should be, okay, well, we'll go ahead and put our child in it, because it's not like we had to pay for it. But,
yeah.
It's just crazy. You sound like you got a cold or something.
It's my voice is coming back. It's been gone.
It sounds like you've had laryngitis.
Oh, yeah, I did indeed. I was not here Monday. You wouldn't have.
Right. I knew you weren't there Monday, and Denny said that you wasn't really that well. Then you said that you had to cancel some appointments that day.
Yeah, I really did.
Well, listen, I hope you get feeling better.
I feel fine, and this will be all right. I'm sitting here sucking on the water and the coffee.
Okay, I finally got hold of one of your books, and I read it the other day, and I saw what you look like.
All right, you take care of your sweet self.
Okay, bye-bye.
I'll talk to you soon. 1-800-572-8255. More right after this. Did you know that ValueJet is now called AirTran? Ludlow Porch, join me weekdays 10 to noon on News Radio 960, the new WRFC. Statesboro, Georgia, and Margaret on the radio. Hi, Margaret.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I just want to tell you I enjoy listening to your show so much.
Thank you.
It makes my day.
All right.
But my opinion on the baby, carrying the baby to a wedding, and et cetera, is like the last ladies. You know, there's a time and a place for everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's time to leave those children at home.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a mom of 5 kids.
Yeah, sure. And you've had to make some spectacular arrangements.
Or stay home.
Or stay home, exactly right. And I just think those folks have a right to a wedding with no children crying.
Right. We've got a video of a wedding that happened in our family not too long ago. And in the background, you can hear a baby crying almost the whole way through it.
Some mamas don't and daddies don't hear them. I can't.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's like in church on Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, but hey, don't stay home from church. Just keep,
No, we
bring
had
those kids and come on to church.
When my children were small, they had a loudspeaker outside, and I spent as much time walking up and down carrying a baby and listening to it on the.
Right. Well, I just want to say I enjoy your show so much.
Well, you're very kind to call. I hope you'll call us again.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Here he is, Chester Drawers. Hello, Chet.
Hello, Luddy.
How you doing?
Fine.
Good.
The biggest mistake I would have made in my life is not calling in, responding to the woman with that wanted to take her baby to the wedding.
You've had a pretty safe life, hadn't you? That's the biggest.
Well, I just wouldn't have gotten over it because some things you have to respond to, and the lady that called in, I'm sure she's a real nice lady. The first one that called in that felt guilty about not taking the 7-month-old to the wedding. There's a bigger agenda out there than that. I've been to too many PTA meetings and scout meetings where kids were running around, and you can look around and watch the other parents and the other kids, and they're not listening to what's going on at the meeting or whatever. They're watching the commotion.
Yeah.
And she feels guilty about that. But and I hope the little 7-month-old doesn't show up on Oprah someday feeling deprived. But the guy that called in saying that he agreed with the woman saying that the baby ought to be able to be there. Number one, he's obviously never paid for a wedding. Number two, they're missing the point. It's a wedding, not a social experiment. And the theme is, here comes the bride, not we're the world. Luddy, you could...
Chester, you've had a wedding ruined in your time, haven't you?
No, but I've been to them where there was a crying baby. And the moment that baby starts crying, there's the moment that the attention is diverted from the bride and groom to away from the ceremony. And
not only that, but people who are there to see that solemn, wonderful, holy occasion miss it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like the woman said about it's on the video. That's always going to be on that video. Is that baby crying? Sometimes we just have to do things different in public than we do at home. And people get and I love my children just like anybody else, but sometimes people put too much focus on their own children and miss the bigger agenda. I remember coaching this girl one time in softball, and we were trying to get all the jerseys and T-shirts and everything set for the year in softball. And this was the smallest girl on the team. They were about 12 or 13 at the time, and the shirt that she got with her number on it went down below her knees. There was another girl on the team who had a jersey that was too small. And what we were just trying to do is simply get them to swap so everybody on the team would be satisfied and happy. Well, this little girl named Rachel refused to give up her jersey. She wasn't going to give it up. And her mother told me in a phone conversation that she was proud of her for standing her ground
And being selfish.
Yeah, and you know, and the woman was focused on her own daughter, and not for the whole big picture. And I think this is what this lady, which I'm sure is just a very nice young lady, the lady that called in originally.
Yeah, she didn't take the baby. She just.
Yeah, she's a nice lady.
Yeah.
I just think this particular time, she's missing the point and don't see the big picture. And that same girl, by the way, that wouldn't give up her jersey. I got a call one day after working on schedules all day Saturday, and we had a makeup game, and I got a call from the girl's mother saying, could my Rachel have a ride to tonight's game? And, you know, everybody gets caught in a pinch, so I said, sure. So my wife and I and my kids showed up at her house, and it was making us run late because she called me at the last minute. We showed up at her house, and the reason she needed a ride to the game because the mother and father were still doing their yard work and couldn't put down that rake and take their own daughter to the game. So they're again missing the whole big picture.
Yeah.
You know, it just, some things you just have to respond to. And Luddy, I feel so much better.
Yeah. Have you been cleansed to some extent?
The rest of the day is going to be great.
I'm glad. I'm glad. So leave your dial right where it is because there may be something else come along that you need to comment on. Or you could fax me, you know, if that.
Yeah, that's right. Because I've already spent my call for the day, so I guess I'd have to fax you or just wait for Friday or something.
Yeah, yeah. You could make notes though.
That's right.
Because you're going to be enraged by Friday.
Well, I'll let you go, but I feel so much better, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, yeah, I want you to know that we enjoyed your sharing that with us.
I know.
It's been my experience with Little League that those meetings are not a problem because seldom are the children brought there because Little League parents don't want their children involved in that.
Yeah, that's right. Because in their minds, it's all about the parents, you know.
Exactly. You take care of yourself. I'll talk to you.
All righty.
1-800-572-8255. More conversation right after this. I want you to put down April 23rd to May 2nd on your calendar. Yes, sirree, because I'm going to take a group of the wackos to England and Scotland, and we're going to have the time of our lives. First class all the way. We're going to see Scotland the way it was meant to be seen. Once you on board, you call 1-800-906-4232. That's 1-800-906-4232. We're going to England and Scotland.
Holiday time. Time for a tender.
I've got you a job lined up in Tuscaloosa, down around the University of Alabama, going to work for the newspaper down there. And you can go on and enroll in the University of Alabama and get your degree and work in a newspaper related field at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
No, Mickey, I don't want to go down to Tuscaloosa and go to college. I'm happy right here at this little newspaper. And so I turned the opportunity down. And to this day, probably regret it that I didn't go on to college. But because of that, never have really been able to earn, the kind of money that I would like to have had, although I'm happy because I've always done the kind of work that you find work you like. Money is not always the
Amen.
thing to seek.
Amen. But that's that road not taken, and we all have those one degree or another.
Right.
And you just, as you say, you found something you really loved, and you're happy at it, and...
Well, I stayed with the newspaper for 12 years, and then I made another mistake seeking greener pastures.
Mm-hmm.
They're not always greener.
No. And then normally there's a barbed wire fence between them.
That's true. And another big mistake I made, I was away from church for about 20 years. And that probably was the biggest mistake I ever made in my life. I'm back in church now and probably happier than I've ever been in my life.
Good for you.
But
Good for you.
those are just a couple of my many mistakes I've made down through life.
You hang in there, Big Rod.
You
Good to talk to you always, buddy.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye. Let's talk to Dave on the radio. Hello, Dave.
Hello.
Hey.
Ludlow.
Yeah.
How you doing this morning?
I'm good, buddy. You all right?
Yeah, kind of caught me off guard there.
Listen, I put you on pretty close to the bottom, so I may have to hold you over if you don't get through.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. No problem. back a couple years ago, biggest mistake and so far I think that I've ever made in my life is letting my brother-in-law, sister-in-law leave my house one night about midnight after they'd had too much to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, we tried to stop them, but they just wouldn't hear of it. And fortunately, he was stopped by one of the local police departments and was hauled in for DUI. And about 6 months later, he decided to fight it, and he had had multiple DUI arrests. And he had a preliminary hearing about 6 months later. And when the police officer was asked by the attorney at the hearing why why did he stop this individual, he said that, well, he had gotten a tip through his dispatcher, and that it was his understanding that the tip came from the last place that the suspect had been, which, of course, was my house. That was not the case. We proved later that it wasn't the case, but it has just totally destroyed a relationship between in-laws, and it's just been a big mess. And
hang on,
okay.
I want to hear the end. I'll get back to you. Hang on. We'll be right back with Dave and the end of his story right after this.
They're the ones in the corner piled up to the ceiling with all my money inside. Waste not, want not, that's what I always say. Save everything that you ever own, you might need it for a rainy day. Waste not, want not, that's what I always say. Save everything that you ever own, you might need it for a rainy, need it for a rainy, need it for a rainy day.
A classic city tradition for nearly 50 years. This is News Radio 960, the new WRFC, Athens.
Good morning, I'm Beth Larson with an information update on News Radio 960, the new WRFC.
My wife and I had her sister and her husband over for dinner one night, and they got a little inebriated, and we tried to keep them from leaving. In fact, they had agreed to stay the night, but then my brother-in-law, he got to the point where he was unreasonable, and it would have taken bodily force on my part to have kept him there, and I guess maybe I should have. But anyway, they got in his truck and they left, and they got down the road about 5 miles and were stopped by one of the local police departments, and he was hauled in for DUI. And, the relationship was still intact and fine until the following May. About 6 months later, he was fighting this deal. And at the preliminary hearing, the police officer who had stopped him had made a statement that my brother-in-law took to mean that, in essence, not in essence, but what he was accusing me of was actually picking up the phone and calling the police and telling the police, where he was when he left and to have him picked up. That's not what happened at all. But what's happened since then is that this is my wife's only sister. Both of their parents are dead, and they pretty much are all they've got. We were real close with my brother-in-law's parents, very close with them. They have totally turned their back on us. They will not have anything to do with us. My wife's sister has, since all this happened, has had a baby, their first child, and we have never seen the baby. It's just a mess, and it's all because they just don't want to accept the fact. And it came out in his trial, in his hearing, that he has had 6 DUIs within 12 years.
Yeah.
None of us in the family knew that, but we're in a situation right now that even the thing that really hurts us is the fact that his in-laws have just so totally blindly sided with him and have just totally just cut us out of their lives, and my sister-in-law has just totally cut her sister, my wife, out of her life.
Even though are they convinced yet that you didn't do that?
No, they still, even though we got phone records from the phone company. I mean, I got a letter from the chief of police of the police department who investigated and found no record of any call coming from my house. He even wrote me a letter, which they got a copy of the letter, stating that there was no record, no evidence, no reason to believe that a call came in, nothing whatsoever.
And they have made no attempt or no attempts have been made to sit down and talk about this?
No, they did. They will not. We have talked through other family members and passed the word along that we're ready to sit down and discuss this.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, they called us right after all this came up, that they heard what this police officer said at the preliminary hearing. My sister-in-law called me and said, well, payback is a you-know-what, and we'll get you. And on July the 16th of 1996, my wife and I received a visit from the Gwinnett County Undercover Narcotics Squad. There had been a tip on the hotline that I was dealing cocaine out of my house. They came and visited my house and searched my house. And obviously I don't get nowhere near that kind of thing.
No, I have known you for many years, and this is kind of like saying Tinkerbell.
Right. And so I explained. They were very nice, very polite, and everything. And we explained, my wife and I, the situation to them, and they said, well, we have to act on these kind of things. She said, you just won't know how many times there is some truth to these tips. But it was extremely embarrassing and upsetting, and we know where the call came from.
And this started, what, we talking about 2.5, 3 years ago?
It started back in, October of 95.
And
it was all because he got so drunk. In fact, when they got there that night for dinner, he had 2 prior DUIs within the previous 5 years, and we had an agreement with them that whenever they came to our house or we went to their house, the first thing you did is if everybody was going to imbibe in alcohol, you gave them the keys. You stayed the night. I mean, that was just a family arrangement. You stayed the night. And that was the agreement this time.
Well, what happened to him in court?
Well, he finally, after spending about $5,000 with a silk stocking law firm in Atlanta, he finally decided to plea, and he got 9 months in a work release program, and just barely got out in time for his wife to deliver their first child. In fact, during the whole 9 months that she was pregnant, he was not there except for just a few brief hours in the evening on his way from work back to the jailhouse.
And you've already tried to have family members intercede and arrange a meeting?
And they have, and they won't have anything to do with it. I even tried to get a copy of the transcript of the preliminary hearing because the city attorney involved in this, it's over the police department in question. She said if I could get a copy of the preliminary hearing transcript to find out exactly what the police officer said, because the police officer, in me talking with him, said he never really said it that way. He didn't mean it that way. He said the only reason that he knew my phone number and my address was because my brother-in-law had given him my name and my phone number, asking me to come get his truck that night that he was stopped so he wouldn't have to pay to have it towed in.
You know, the real tragedy of all of this, and the fact that it has escalated and gotten more and more complicated, tragedy is you got 2 sisters here.
Right, exactly.
Who should be the closest.
Absolutely.
Particularly with the parents gone.
Right.
It's a real family tragedy.
Yeah.
Do you think time, Dave, is going to help this?
Well, I would think that, probably somewhere down the road. I have tried to come to grips with the fact that he put the law on me for absolutely no reason, and that's really tough for me to swallow. But I'm trying to come to grips with that. But hopefully it will. The sister-in-law my wife's sister has made kind of an indirect overture through an aunt saying that, well, she would like for my wife, her sister, to call her at work one day. And my wife says, no, it don't work that way. We're the ones that have been harmed here. She needs to talk to me.
Yeah. Well, somebody's going to swallow their pride.
Yeah. But I have never in my life seen a situation, and as bad as it is with my sister-in-law, and we were very close with her. She used to live with us, and the things that we've done for that girl, trying to help get her straightened out, is just unbelievable. But then, as close as we were with her parents, these are 2 adults, that are in their mid-50s, late 50s, and for them, I can understand them wanting to side with their son and come to the defense of their son, but when all the facts were laid out to them, and we have laid them out to them in writing and documented them, they still will just have absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with us. They just totally turn their back.
Time is a great healer, and no matter who calls each other first, the 2 sisters need to be in some kind of communication.
Well, the only reason that I really bring this up today, and I've thought about calling and talking to you about it, and the fact that you were talking about mistakes today, it just gave me, I thought, a good opportunity. All the folks out there that are listening that have friends or family members that come to their house and drink or do anything, they need to thank the Lord that they were stopped by the police officer that night, because when his breath results were just unbelievable. And they very well could not be walking this earth today. But just don't let people leave your house.
Buddy, I'm glad you called. Take care of yourself.
See you later.
Good luck. Yeah, you're going to have to hope time will help that. Somebody got to swallow their pride somewhere down the line. 1-800-572-8255. More right after this. I need to tell you about my friends at Jasper Dodge in beautiful Jasper, Georgia. Yeah, I said Jasper Dodge. Now, don't you worry, they're still a part of Jasper Jeep Dodge Chrysler Plymouth. The Jasper Dodge is just my way of reminding you that we are indeed your Dodge dealer. Now, with that said, have you been looking for a special Dodge truck, say the quad cab? Can't find what you want? Do this. Drop by Jasper Dodge. If for some reason they don't have exactly what you're looking for, they'll order it for you at no charge. That's right, at no charge. No hassle, no haggle, not even any negotiations. Jasper Dodge, you're going to find it in Jasper, Georgia, right in the middle of Jasper Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, Plymouth. Oh, Monday through Saturday, 8 to 7, but never, ever on Sunday. Gang, no matter where you live, your Dodge dealership is in beautiful Jasper, Georgia. You tell them I sent you. Out. Moultrie, Georgia, and Ron. Good morning, Ron.
Good morning, Ludlow.
How you, old friend?
Yeah, welcome to Moultrie Friday. Should be sunshiny by then.
I'm pulling for that.
I do video production for a living, and I attend many weddings during the course of a year.
Yeah.
It's about half my business, and I've seen some of everything.
I bet you have.
Leave the children at home or in the nursery, or if it's a small church, the back couple rows is okay. The balcony sometimes works, but I've had mothers say, "Why is that crying in that audio?" Because they're so focused in on the ceremony.
Sure.
And I can't fix that with any graphics equalizer in the market.
No. No, you're the victim there too. Why did you let that child cry, Ron?
I don't know, but I tell the mothers. You know, if you have that, they've asked me. I said, just, leave them at home. Now, certain ethnic groups, it's quite acceptable. It's just part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But most weddings that I do, it's just not,
Yeah, that's, that gets around to common sense after a while.
I've had a minister one time stop the ceremony right during the vows, look at the crying mother and her child, put his stern gaze on her, and she got up and left.
I like that preacher.
Well, that's all I have. Enjoy your show.
All right, buddy.
And we'll see you.
Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Thanks a million.
Bye.
Frosty Mountain Pure Spring Water, gang. Water from the spring, not the tap. Available at fine stores everywhere. Let's go to Kennesaw, Georgia, and talk to Marilyn on the radio. Hi, sweet Marilyn.
Good morning, Mr. Ludlow.
How are you?
I'm fine. And you know what? I have a remedy for your throat.
Oh?
It's honey, a mixture. You're not going to like this when I say it, but it really works. It's honey and vinegar. And you mix it together and drink it, and your throat's going to be better.
Okay. I'll take a shot.
Okay. Okay. Now, listen. You know what a heavy fog in Italy is, don't you?
What?
A bigamist. I just had to tell you that.
Okay.
You said you wanted to hear from a bigamist, right?
All right, that's funny. That's funny.
You take care.
All right, good to talk to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go to Newnan, Georgia, and talk to Jim on the radio. Hello, James.
How are you, Ludlow?
I'm fine, bud. You okay?
Just fine. I think some people have missed the point. The young lady that called in earlier and said the one thing that she might regret was not, or was going to a wedding where she was asked not to bring her child.
Yeah.
That's my daughter. And without people knowing her, they would not understand. She wouldn't have taken the child on a bet anyway.
Oh, I know. Yeah, she made that plain.
But the idea is being told you can't do it. But the one thing she failed to put in was the young lady whose wedding she was going to was about 6 months pregnant as it was. and they were sitting down rules.
That kind of puts a damper on the solemn. No, let me explain to you. Did you hear the conversation we had?
No, I did not. She called me later.
She did not come off like the bad guy at all. She a very sweet lady who just said that she, looking back on it, she would take the baby now. And one of the reasons is because some of them on the other side of the family brought a baby.
That's right.
Now, she didn't come off as a bad guy at all. I didn't want you worried about that.
No, and the one thing I probably regretted having watched the baby for her so she could go.
Yeah. So now we know the winners and losers. You didn't even get any punch, did you?
No.
I'm glad you called, Jim.
Thank you, Ludlow.
Take care, buddy. Bye-bye. Pendleton, South Carolina, and Don on his car phone. Hello, Donald.
Hey, how's it going, Ludlow?
Oh, well, buddy, you all right?
Pretty good.
Good.
Tell you a story I heard one time, talk about bad luck.
Yeah.
Had a friend that was a highway patrolman, and he had just become a highway patrolman, hadn't been a patrolman long, and he was chasing this car, and he said the speed got up to around 90-something, and the car finally turned out this dirt road, and it was a dead-end road, and stopped, and one of the guys got out and ran. He grabbed one of them, said he fired his pistol up in the air a couple times to try to stop the other guy, and, of course, he's asking the one he's got, you know, who the other guy was, and never seen him, didn't know him, all that kind of stuff.
Total stranger, right?
But wasn't but a few minutes. The other guy came back across the field, and he was bleeding like a stuck hog. Said like scared him to death. He figured, my goodness, I've shot up there and a bullet come down and hit him.
Yeah.
All sort of things. The guy ran head first into a barbed wire fence.
Well, that'll do her.
They'd like to eat him alive, and he had to come back because he's afraid he's bleeding to death.
Yeah.
I would say that was probably one of the worst days that guy ever had, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, and it's particularly for that 2 or 3 minutes before he realized that he hadn't shot anybody.
Oh, boy. And then the other guy, too. I mean, when you hit a barbed wire fence running full speed, that's got to be a bad day,
Yeah,
too.
in the dark. In the dark.
Yes.
You take care of yourself.
Thanks. Enjoy your show much.
Good to talk to you, buddy.
Hey, goodbye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, barbed wire fence in broad open daylight where you just kind of nick it is something. When you're in a lope being chased by the local police, yeah, that'll slow you down. 1-800-572-8255. Right back after this. I want to tell you a few facts about my friends at Telstar. Join me weekdays 10 to noon on News Radio 960, the new WRFC. Dawson, Georgia, and Ronnie on the radio. Hello, Ronnie.
Mr. Ludlow, can you hear me okay? I'm on my mobile.
Well, you're breaking up a little bit, but let's see if we can get through this together.
Okay, well, first off, I want to salute all our veterans from yesterday and say what a wonderful job. My dad was in the war and fought valiantly throughout the war. And just a comment on the guy that talked to you a few minutes ago about the police coming over and searching his house.
Yeah.
The citizens should still realize that the old adage about, I'm sure you heard it, about the Nazis said, when they came for the Jews, I said nothing. And when they came for the blacks, I said nothing. But now they're coming for me.
Yep.
A judge that would give the law a warrant to search a citizen, an upstanding citizen's house, even though it come on hotline, has to bring some alarm to citizens that have relatives that have fought in the war and people that have fought in the war for the freedoms that we enjoy. And that type of activity should be questioned by the local citizenry of a judge that would do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it's not, and I know you don't, your clientele is mostly law-abiding citizens that listen to your program, I'm sure, you know, because of the format of which you have. And I know you don't get that much into controversial things, but it just tripped something in my mind because I study those kind of things, and it just really disturbs me when I hear a citizen say that I have never been engaged in illegal activity, but yet my home was searched in the name of a war on drugs, which we know we're losing, which we know is a losing battle, and they're involved, the law-abiding citizens, in this battle in such a manner. And that man, whoever he was, should have the citizens of his community contest the judge and ask him how can he issue a warrant with just someone calling on the phone anonymously.
Yeah,
if that kind of activity continues in this country.
Well, plus that can lend itself to everything from a practical joke to somebody getting hurt.
That's correct. There's been people killed in these situations where law enforcement goes in to search, and which I'll be the first to say that drugs are the scrounge of the earth, and I've lost a lot of employees to drugs.
Right.
But I cannot justify in my mind to say that anybody can be justified, a judge especially, that is supposed to realize the sovereignty of this country and the rights of the citizens, to put a search warrant out on a person that doesn't have a prior record.
You make a great point, my friend. I'm glad you called.
Well, listen, I appreciate it, and I enjoy your show. Keep up the good work. And like I said, salute to the veterans, and I sure hope that we can continue to maintain this country in the form it is in.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Let's go to Harrelson, Georgia, and talk to Maleka. Good morning, young lady. How are you?
Good morning, young man. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. The gentleman that called about the family problem, with the disagreement.
Yeah.
And he's not going to be the only one, I'm sure, in this situation, has been and will be. I think the best advice for him down the road, anyone in this has a relative that drinks a lot and has trouble maintaining their lifestyle behind alcohol, don't serve it at all.
Okay.
That would be one thing. And also, I think he should consider this a blessing, except that the sisters should get together and get beyond what squabble, the one brother is causing, or brother-in-law, son-in-law, whatever it is. You're showing the real character. Those people are showing their real character by how they're behaving under this kind of circumstance. You find out about people's real character on a situation of duress. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
When you need money, if you're pregnant, if you're in trouble, if you're sick, I think you should be thankful that they're at an arm's distance. And I know it's not you don't want to cause negative feelings, but when people turn on you like that, there was no true love there in the first place.
Well, plus he has apparently turned over every rock he can turn over to prove that this just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And they have chosen to be angry, and nothing's going to help this but time
and prayer. Another thing, when drug agents come into the inner city or even the middle class neighborhood, if you happen to be Black American, I've never heard them coming in and being polite and not tearing up your property. I've seen it. I used to work for the police department in Detroit. They did damage that was unbelievable. You didn't have a prior record. You would just happen to be,
and about
a certain area. And so this gentleman, he must be blessed or have some connections, because they wouldn't come in my neighborhood like that.
About 3 or 4 times a year, you read about them coming through by breaking doors down, and then
they don't have to get prior notice now,
And then they're in the wrong house.
Yeah, but what was funny, when they used to say, well, they were going to go into public housing, and they could go in without any permission or court order and search. Everybody said, yeah, get the folks on welfare and the poor folks, go after them. Now they can do it to anybody, no knock, okay, that has been passed. And that's a scary thing, whether you live in a rural area or city, or somebody comes to your door, and it could be a robbery.
Oh, that's a scary thing.
And what if he had owned weapons and had the right to bear arms and decided to fire whoever if they had come to his door in a forceful manner? He would have had a really dangerous situation. I think the gentleman who just called is right. We should question these kind of things, whether you're law-abiding, if you're law-abiding, and because, like you said, when they come from one or two groups,
that's right,
they're seeing how you're going to respond to that. If you don't respond to that, then you're next.
Okay, got to go. Glad you called. We'll talk to you again soon. More conversation right after this.
Senor, let's overturn these tables and disconnect these cables. This place don't make sense to me no more. Can you tell me what we're waiting for, senor? Seems like I've been down this road.
This is News Radio 960, the new WRFC, Athens, a Southern Broadcasting Company's radio station.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. Going right to the top, our Justice Department investigators on campaign fundraising. ABC's Ann Compton tells us live from the White House. Ann?
Chuck, lawyers finally got their check.
This is the Ludlow Porch Show on Cleveland, Tennessee, and talk to the antique geek and my close personal friend, Douggy Wuggy. Hello, Douglas.
Sir.
How you?
I'm well. Are you partially well?
I'm completely well.
Oh, you really?
I've just been sitting here all day long doing my Ernest Borgnine impression.
You're ignoring your ailment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel fine.
Well, Marines will do things like that.
Tough. Superior creatures.
Yes.
As it were.
Well, you've brought up a great many interesting topics or things have come out of this morning's discussion.
Yes.
And, but just to kind of narrow my comment down a little bit, because there's so many things that you've been talking about that I could yak on. But I think all of us, every person out there has at some point in their life had an experience where they have been blamed for someone else's problem.
Mm-hmm.
Someone has gotten spanked, and they are unable to take responsibility for what they did that made them get spanked. And they have to blame someone else. And that's this fellow who called Dave is a prime, just a prime example of that situation.
Tell me.
This person cannot take it. This other person cannot take responsibility for his actions and must blame someone else.
And Dave was close by and handy.
Yeah.
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 I'm sure Dave would agree with that.
Yeah, and we've all been in those situations. And unfortunately, the maturity of the world is still needs to be worked on in that regard.
Mm. Yeah, oh yeah. And then it's not being worked on.
No. We see every day people who make excuses for what they do. And it's got to be someone else's fault that they have had to suffer the consequences of their own actions.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that's about it for me. I'd love to talk about the legal problem that you got, but I'll save that for maybe Friday about judges who can issue writs without probable cause other than someone's vague accusation.
And sometime when their identity is not even known, if they got I think they said a hotline call.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bad news.
Yeah.
Bad news.
It's not what our United States was built on.
Well, I got a mental picture of somebody breaking down my door in the middle of the night, what my reaction is going to be, and it's going to be a violent one.
Mine would not be real good.
And I don't know anything to do about that. I mean, what am I going to say? Are you a policeman? No.
I think the thing that's not personal that looms in my memory is not buying a piece of property one time that was on a river. It was 8 acres, most of which was all along. It was about 2 football lengths of river frontage for $11,000.
And now the 27 homes right there.
Yeah, they sure is.
We've all got those stories. We have all got those stories. And that property today is worth, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My man, you have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
1-800-572-8255. More right after this. I want you to put down April 23rd, Ludlow Porch, weekdays 10 to noon on News Radio 960, the new WRFC. Ludlow and Denny, the Fun Seekers Radio Network, Statesboro, Georgia, and Judy on the radio. Hello, Judy.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I just wanted to make a comment also about the brother-in-law situation. I was raised in an alcoholic home, and I'm here to tell you, until they realize they have a problem, this man may not be labeled alcoholic, but I was raised where the rest of the world was crazy, and the person who was doing the drinking was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really, and my family's been split apart. I have not spoken to a couple of members of my family in 16 years.
Because of the booze?
Yes, and it's an absolute crime. But
I think he said that this guy had 4 or 5 DUIs.
Right.
And you just wonder sometimes what it takes to get somebody's attention.
Exactly. Well, I was even disinherited over all this too, and the people who had a chance.
You mean they took that anger to their grave?
Yes, sir. And the people who had a chance to rectify the wrong chose not to. And see, that person had 6 weeks prior to their death had changed. It was like Russian roulette. Had changed the will, and within of my lifetime, I know there were 20 or 30 various wills that had been written up. And I just ended up being the one that got hit at the last minute. But the other parties involved, did not even rectify the wrong, and they had a chance to do that, to go back.
Was there anger directed towards you because you objected and
I really have. I never really knew what happened. I really don't know. But the thing is the guy's name was Dave, right?
Yeah.
It's horrible to say that you're just going to have to just do nothing, because and I think it's horrible when there's splits between families like that. Like I said, mine's been going on for 16 years now, and it's just awful. But the thing is until his brother-in-law.
Why so long, Judy? What has happened? Is this with somebody that was involved in the drinking, or somebody that did the inheritance?
Well, I'll try. The long story, I'm going to try to make it short as possible. I was adopted by my grandmother because my parents were divorced, and then my mother was killed. Mm-hmm. And so that has legally made me a daughter. And it was my mother's 2 sisters that chose not to rectify this wrong. It should have been a 1/3 thing in the will, and as it turned out, I got my bedroom furniture, but as far as any monetary, there was a huge property, there was quite a bit of stock and things like that. None of that came to me, and they were given by the family, sat them down and said, look, do you want to throw this will away? The will was 6 weeks old. And go back to the previous will where it was 1/3 across the board, and they said no. And and when you say, like, what was the biggest mistake you've ever made? Sometimes I regret I didn't fight it, but then other times I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
That I just let it go, because I just, because I'd wake up in the middle of the night, I'd sit bolt up in bed and just be screaming, and I just figured my children and my husband needed me with my sanity and not with a lot of money.
Well, that plus the anger and the hurt was only on your part. The hurt was only on your part, and it didn't bother those other people, and it was eating you alive.
And I really don't know why they made that decision. I really have no idea, but it was done.
Yep.
But anyway, Dave and his family, unfortunately, this is just gonna. I hope it doesn't end up being like mine, but until that guy comes to the realization that he's had a problem and gets help, and his mom and dad even admit that their little boy, who is a great big man, has a problem. It's not going to get any better.
No. Sometimes you got to face unpleasant things, and boy, they're tough. And when you're talking about somebody you love, it's tough to face them sometimes.
Right, it is. It is.
Well,
anyway, I just wanted to, let them know that that's really what they're facing. The rest of the world's crazy, and I'm okay.
We could sit here and talk about wills and that sort of thing forever, because many families have been torn absolutely apart by those things.
Right.
Absolutely.
But with the drinking and all, like I said, I think people lose some perception. There's some amount of paranoia that sets in.
And they lose some brain cells.
Right.
No, that's the absolute truth, and we all know those folks who are a step behind because they have poured that stuff in them excessively over a lifetime.
Right, and I think they just imagine things that aren't really there, and it's really a sad life.
Terrible life. You take care of your sweet self.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you.
Bye-bye.
1-800-572-8255 is our number. Ludlow and Denny, and you are listening to the Fun Seekers Radio Network. Hi, Fun Seekers. Ludlow Porch, my buddy. Go to Schoonerville, Georgia, and talk to Jimmy on the radio. What do you say, Jimmy?
It's wet.
It is moist down there, is it?
Yes, sir. A lot of liquid sunshine today.
All right.
How are you doing?
Doing good, buddy.
Good to talk to you again. I hope to see you Friday.
I'll be right there.
Yeah, you're going to be about 15 minutes from my home.
All right. Yeah, you better show up. I'm gonna come get you.
All right. I was listening to the individual that had the problems with the family and the DUI.
Yeah.
And I was in law enforcement for 9.5 years, and the first thing that come to my mind when he said they come and they searched his home was that I could have never have obtained a search warrant in my career from the judges that I associated with, that I had to deal with, on the information that he said that they had. However, he also never elaborated that they had a warrant.
No, he didn't. I just presumed that. Maybe I should have asked that question.
They may have come to make contact with him on the information, and he may have consented to let them look in his house. It's not unusual for that to happen.
Possibility, yeah. That's a good thought.
As far as his brother-in-law and his sister-in-law, of course, I'm not in his situation. I've got a brother-in-law I don't get along with very well, but it don't sound to me like they're the kind of element that I would really want to associate with anyway.
Yeah, well, you're probably right on that, particularly with the brother-in-law, but you just hate to think about two sisters, no matter what the problem is.
Right.
Two sisters being separated for life. If that's the sole survivors in the family, that's sad.
It's a sad thing to have to face. When I was in law enforcement, I got in at a real young age, at 20 years old, and single. And I made a comment to another officer one time that I couldn't understand why such pretty women would pair up with such roguish guys. Happens a lot.
Yeah.
And the other officer opened my eyes real quick. He said, well, maybe they're rogues too.
Okay. Well, beauty's only skin deep, but rogue goes all the way to the bone.
Exactly. And, I just wanted to comment on that. We might be jumping the gun a little bit on the warrant, but if they did show up around there with a warrant, yeah, his jurisdiction has a serious problem that needs to be dealt with.
I'll ask you next time I talk to him.
Okay, lady, you take care.
I will see you Friday. I will see you Friday.
All righty.
All right, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Take care. John Bleaky, Winnebago, America's #1 Winnebago dealer for 1997. 1-800-572-8255. Blairsville, Georgia, and Polly Ann. Hello, Polly Ann.
Good morning, Ludlow.
How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you. I really, really enjoy your program.
Thank you.
Yes. We were talking about making mistakes and embarrassments and what have you.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't really embarrassed, but one time I did something, this is many years ago, and my husband got so angry with me, and I just looked at him real solemn, and I said, did you ever make a mistake?
Yeah.
And he said, well, yeah, I've made lots of them. I said, well, that's the first one I ever made. And he burst out laughing, and I kind of forgot then what he was mad about.
Yeah, everybody's entitled to one, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then talking about the wedding.
Yeah.
And taking children. No, I agree. We should not take any babies to weddings and cause a disturbance. I remember many, many years ago when my oldest son was married, there weren't any babies in the crowd, but I had a surprise package that come along late in life, and there was 17 years between my oldest son and my little fella.
Yeah.
Well, my little fella was about 3, and he sat with my daughter's boyfriend during the wedding. And I said to him, now I want you to sit at least 2/3 of the way back, because if he should holler out, I don't want any, any distraction. Well, he was real good. He didn't holler out. I was so proud. And when they were going down through the procession, and he went by the aisle where my little boy was, he hollered out, "Hi, Bill!" And everybody around just laughed, It was really, really sweet.
That's funny.
In fact, they even got a video of it, and you can hear his little voice on there. "Hi, Bill."
He just wanted to speak to his big brother.
Right. Well, listen, I'll let you go, and you have a real good day.
Okay, you do the same. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
1-800-572-8255. Radio Ray, Madison, Georgia. Good morning, young man.
Well, good morning.
How are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Good.
Well, listen, for the listeners who are listening into your show and they're hearing some of these stories about, how they like growing, how they grew up in the alcoholic family or something like that, and have to deal with stuff like that. Well, some of the some of the what do you call it? Some of the listeners they don't realize, for the ones who don't have to deal with this sort of stuff, they don't know how hard it is to have to deal with something like this.
Particularly as a child.
Exactly. And ever since I was little, I grew up in an alcoholic family. Where I've had really, really close family members that are really really were bad, and it was really tough on me growing up. But
it's tough on the whole family, but I think it's kind of centers on the children.
Exactly.
Very tough on the children.
Exactly. And I still have very, very close family that I love that are still, bad into drinking, and there's nothing you can do for them until they realize what they're doing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you don't know at what stage of their life or your life that's going to happen.
Exactly. And another big mistake I made in my life was not getting married to Barney Elizabeth.
You think that was, looking back on that, you think that was a mistake?
Very much, yes.
Yeah, well, she was a good old girl.
Yeah, she was. So, see, that's why I usually have to resort going to the mountains to snow ski.
Uh-huh.
Because, I know that if I keep going up there, that maybe I'll find someone up there to marry.
You're looking for a wife on the slopes, are you?
Well, see,
a little snow bunny.
Well, see, I have kind of exposed a secret to you. Now you know about it.
Yeah.
Just don't tell nobody, okay?
See, no, I knew where you were going. And it's
and see, you kept this to yourself, right?
Yeah, I think there's going to be any lies told. I wanted you to tell them. I got to get out of here, cousin.
Okay, have a great day.
Take care of yourself.
Bye.
More right after this. Hi, gang. New fall fashions for men, women, and children are arriving daily at J&R Clothing. For the men, J&R Clothing has year-round wool blend blazers on sale every day for $85. Want you to compare at $120, and you got 5 colors to choose from. How about this? Hager, Docker, Santabelt, and Levi Action slacks are on sale every day at savings of 30% off the mall prices. Men's wool blend suits on sale every day from $129. Plus, J&R has one of the largest big and tall men's shops in town. You stop by and see them. Either location, Georgia Highway 85 South at the Fayette County line and Highway 5 at Stewart Parkway in Douglasville. J&R Clothing, where alterations are always free, and you're going to always find at least 30% off every single day.
If you're over age 50, listen to find out how you can get affordable life insurance and a free gift.
I'm Ed McMahon telling you that you really can get affordable coverage without answering a single health question or taking a medical exam. Because of a 2-year limited benefit period, Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company guarantees your acceptance. This is the life insurance I've told you about on TV. It costs you $6.95 a month per unit. Your premium never increases, and your benefit never decreases simply because you grow older. Free information about this important protection is available now.
Dial 1-800-342-6100 for free information on benefits, limitations, and exclusions. And you'll receive a handy guide to Social Security absolutely free. That's 1-800-342-6100. If you're between the ages of 50 and 85, call Colonial Penn Life Insurance Company now. Available in most states. Age limits may vary. Ed McMahon is compensated for his endorsement. Call 1-800-342-6100.
You know, it's really hard, Diane. My mother doesn't get around like she used to, and I just can't be there all the time.
Oh, it sounds like what she needs is a little rascal in her life.
Excuse me?
A rascal scooter from Electric Mobility.
An electric scooter? Really?
Yeah, my mom's got one, and she loves it. She feels independent again. She can do things around the house and outdoors, too, in the yard, at the mall.
So you can take the rascal anywhere. Is it portable?
Yeah, and lightweight. Plus, you can drive it with one hand.
Sounds like your mom's having a lot of fun with her rascal.
If you or someone you know needs low-cost personal transportation, find out more about the
the Rascal Scooter from Electric Mobility. Call toll-free 1-800-473-6800 today and take advantage of money-saving offers. Easy payment plans are available, and you may qualify for partial or even full medical insurance reimbursement.
Mom, I'm coming over, and I'm bringing a Rascal. You are?
Call 1-800-473-6800 today for a free catalog and a no-obligation test drive. That's 1-800-473-6800.
I love my Rascal.
Love and Marriage, 1-800-572-8255 is our number on the Fun Seekers Radio Network as we go to Athens, Georgia, and talk to Marilyn. Hello, Marilyn. How you doing today?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Well, having kids at my wedding was an issue beforehand, and I remember telling people to not bring their kids, and I construe that as being a little bit rude. But I went to another wedding where they handled it just perfectly. They said, bring your kids, and they supplied a babysitter in a separate room. And I just thought that was such a great idea.
Yeah, Denny and I were talking about that earlier. And that's just absolutely perfect. They had hired a distant relative, a teenager, to babysit these youngsters. And for $20, you saw what was a terrible problem, and nobody's feelings got ruffled.
Right. And, you have to admit, at a wedding reception, it's fun to have kids running around. At the reception after dinner, when everybody's up and dancing.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that, and I don't even have any problem with them there if that's the way the bride and groom wanted. It just seems to me that was your prerogative, and if I had gotten an invitation from you that said that, I wouldn't have been angry at you. I would have understood.
Yeah. Well, some people, don't feel that way.
Some people looking for a reason to be mad, and there's nothing you can do to help them.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I don't have any problem with that. In the reception, and how many times have we seen video of 2 4-year-olds dancing together?
Right, that's
absolutely priceless. So bring them out of the nursery and let them enjoy the fun part of that thing. Number one, they don't understand the ceremony, and all they understand is somebody's making them sit still, and by golly, they want to move.
Right.
Yeah.
So they can move all they want during the ceremony, so long as they're in a different room.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. I think that is so simple and such an easy thing to do. And we're talking about, we're not even talking about $20. There's going to be a volunteer there somewhere that's going to say, I'll be glad to,
Sure.
All right, I'm glad you called.
Okay, thanks.
You take care, Marilyn. Bye-bye. Yeah, and as I say, I don't know what Miss Manners, is she the new last word? Or Emily Post, the etiquette folks think. But I think this. I think there's a way to do everything. I think if you know you got somebody you're going to upset, even though you're perfectly within your rights to do it, and all you're looking for is to give a holy atmosphere to one of the holiest occasions in those young folks' life who are getting married. I don't think that anybody should be upset about that. As a matter of fact, let me tell you what I think is just as bad. I think what's just as bad is people showing up with flash cameras. Yeah. Now, I know that they all want pictures, and I know they're only there because they love you, and they want to get these pictures. But I also understand that you put a camera in the average guy's hand, and he goes a little nuts sometimes. I have been to weddings that were absolutely disrupted by the flash cameras, and I know you have. And how do you tell somebody that? That we're having pictures made, and for $4,500 you can get copies. Photographers, how many school functions have you been to where the proud mamas and daddies want to get pictures of Junior on that stage or that sort of thing? And it winds up being a disruption, because if one does it, I promise you, at a kindergarten graduation, I don't know why they call it graduation, but people just go a little nuts. And I know the pictures are important, but are they more important than what's going on there? And the grandmas and granddaddies that travel to, you got to admit, it loses something when they're walking up to the front and they'll get right in front of you. Try putting that on the invitation. No cameras, please. Wow. You know what's going to happen? Uncle Waldo is going to go nuts. Our number, and you might want to comment on that. I'd like to hear some thought on that. No cameras. No cameras. 1-800-572-8255. Interesting little blurb in the paper this morning about General Colin Powell, a guy I admire very much. Retired General Colin Powell said he will not seek the Republican presidential nomination or any other office in the year 2000, lacking the passion for political life. He says, I went through this in 1995. I took a hard look at myself. I took a look at the needs of my family, and I concluded individually, and we concluded as a family, that political life was not for us. Powell said at a news conference in Des Moines, I am not running for any political office in 2000. Here's a man that could have a brilliant political future, but he says he just doesn't need that. His family just doesn't need that. I mean, this man, you know, he's should be very, very rich now. I'm sure he is as a result of his book. And he just says he doesn't want to put his family through that. And it is a family operation, and sometimes we forget that the whole family has got to be willing to do that. So my admiration only grows for General Powell. There's a man who knows what's important. 1-800-572-8255. And a reminder, I will be this afternoon at a Fayette bookstore in Fayetteville, Georgia at 5 o'clock signing books. And if you're in that area, I would like very much for you to drop by. That's at 5 o'clock this afternoon. It'll be indoors, of course. Rain or shine, we'll be there. And would like the opportunity to say hello. So if you're out and about, just getting off from work, I'll be there from 5 o'clock. I don't know how late they want me to be there, but I'll stay there as long as there are folks there who want to talk. So Fayette Bookshop, Fayetteville, Georgia. Been there many, many times. Great bookstore. Be there at 5 o'clock this afternoon, and I hope you will come by. It'll be fun. 1-800-572-8255. More right after this.
John Bleakley Winnebago in Douglasville, Georgia is America's #1 Winnebago retailer for 1997. John Bleakley has the largest selection of Winnebagos in the U.S. Choose from the all-new Chieftain, the redesigned Adventure, the Brave, Grand Tour, Luxor, Rialta, Mini, and Mini Winnie. The 1998 Brave SC from $39,995 or as little as $379 per month. John Bleakley Winnebago in Douglasville, Georgia. Call toll-free 1-888-527-8287.
I want to talk to you about my buddies at Taylor Construction Company. This is a family-owned company, and they've been installing and selling vinyl siding for over 28 years. Good people. All you have to do is give them a call and then never, ever paint again. I want you to call them at 770-587-3454. That's 770-587-3454. These are the people you can trust. These are the people at Taylor Construction.
The holidays are right around the corner, and that means one thing. Bad eggnog? Nope. Holiday Company. If you want your home to look its best, visit your Sherwin-Williams store. We're having a huge sale. Save $5 a gallon on Sherwin-Williams Super Paint Interior for a beautiful finish in just one coat. And save $5 a gallon on Everclean, a truly washable flat latex. Also save 42 to 64% on all Sherwin-Williams branded wallpaper books. So for great savings this season, come to Sherwin-Williams. Where to get it?
The Athens Morning Update.
Athens Clark County Fire Protection Services rating has been lowered.
Mike Tyson is expected to attend the hearing before the Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Doctors all over the country are going to be studying their patients who have been taking fen-phen.
News, weather, and sports.
A member of the Awareness Council told Brown, you have brought disgrace and dishonor to the city of Monroe.
Storms in the area with a high of 78. I'm meteorologist Kathy Francis.
Weekday mornings 6 to 9. The Athens Morning Update on News Radio 960. The new WRFC.
The home of Ludlow Porch, News Radio 960, the new WRFC.
Whoa, you must have been a beautiful baby. You must have been a beautiful child. When you were only starting to go to kindergarten, I bet you drove those other childs wild. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, when it came to winning blue ribbon.
All right, 1-800-572-8255, Statesboro, Georgia, and Johnny on the radio. Good morning, Johnny.
Good morning. Just a quick comment about, you kind of touched a hot button of mine about some of the ceremonies of life.
Yeah, hit a nerve, did I?
Yeah, you did. I have been privileged to kind of participate in that through the music side of it, and I think I've seen just about everything. But you got to add video into your list of cameras. I don't know, I may have missed it, but we're talking about flash cameras. But now, in the video stage now, you got them coming from every different direction.
Yeah. And
especially these people that you hire to do it for you. They come in there with 4 or 5 different angles and editors and all this, and I've had them down on the floor crawling around and videoing straight up toward the ceiling, crawling around my feet and what have you. It's really a challenge, and I think the good Lord gave us a memory that we ought to use, and we don't need quite so many pictures of all the angles and all of the different peoples.
Yeah, because sometimes these things can turn into human stampedes.
That's right, exactly right. But it's an interesting phenomenon, but it has gotten out of control, almost like the wedding enterprise itself. You know,
yeah,
kind of gotten out of control, but it's interesting. But those video cameras drive me crazy.
Are you how you involved in these? You a musician? Or?
Yeah. I'm a church musician, and being invited to sing at weddings, and it kind of gets out of control a lot.
All right, bud. I'm glad you called. You take care of yourself.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hadn't even thought about the video cameras. Yeah, that's one too. Be considerate, gang. AirTran Airlines, it's something else. 1-800-572-8255, Blairsville, Georgia. And Carmella, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing just fine.
Good.
I'm calling about the children at the wedding.
Yeah.
Well, my grandson was about 2.5-year-old, and we attended my nephew's wedding, which was held in a chapel, because both of them had been married before.
Uh-huh.
And there was a little pause. You know, the preacher paused for a few seconds, and then my grandson, out of the blue, he said, "Getting married again?"
Oh, a dagger in their heart.
I tell you, everybody came laughing away.
Oh.
Yeah, they're getting married again.
Oh, that is funny. Out of the mouths of babes.
Mm-hmm, that's it. Yeah, we won't forget that.
I love it. I love it.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll be chuckling about that the rest of the day. You take care of yourself.
Okay.
I'll talk to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 1-800-572-8255 is our number as we go to Buford, Georgia, and talk to Leslie. Hello, Leslie.
Hi, Ludlow.
How you doing?
I'm doing good this morning.
Good.
I'm calling about the wedding subject that seems to be a hot topic this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 9-month-old, and we were recently in a wedding. My husband was in the wedding, and I handed out programs. I had sense enough to have a babysitter, but a lot of folks didn't, and they brought their babies, 3 or 4 of them actually. And I truly was amazed when I saw them walk in. But I thought the wedding director was very thoughtful. She set all the parents with babies on the back row of the auditorium.
Yeah, did that hurt any feelings?
Well, I don't know. My husband was one of the ones that sat them because he was an usher, and I asked him afterwards, I said, did the parents look like they were upset about that? He said, well, not really. So I thought that was a good solution to have them on the back row. And at one point, one of the children did cry out, so they immediately removed the child, and that worked out okay. So I guess if folks don't have sense enough to get a sitter, then I guess a good solution would be to have them on the back row so they can make a quick exit if they need to.
You know, we all know that when that one is 8 months old, 9 months old, you're going to get a squeal when you least expect it.
Exactly.
Not the child's fault. They're being
not the child's fault.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't think it's fair to the child to expect them to sit there and act like an adult.
No.
So I think.
I've been to weddings. It was hard for me to get through.
That's right. That's right. Well, I certainly enjoy your program.
I am certainly glad you called. You do it again.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
1-800-572-8255 is our number. Morganton, Georgia, and Melinda on the radio. Hello, Melinda.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine.
Good.
I was going to talk about my sister's wedding.
All right.
She was talking about making a quick exit. It's kind of hard. Me and my husband was supposed to be in the wedding. and we have 2 small children, and there was no way we could do nothing with them. So my husband was the best man, and I was the bridesmaid. So right during the ceremony was my daughter's nap time. She was under 2 years old, and my son was just a couple of months old, and he was hungry. So we walked up the aisle while they were squalling, and my daughter's kind of hard to keep still, so we brought her car seat in and just set it on the bench and put her in there. And we got up there, and during the ceremony, my daughter was squalling, saying, "Mama," and I was standing there thinking, what am I going to do? And my cousin was watching her. And my mom and dad was in the ceremony, too, so after they did their part and sat down, my mom got my daughter, and she was still crying for me, so everybody was pretty much getting a kick out of it, but me and my husband, we were embarrassed to death.
How about the bride and groom? They getting a kick?
Well, they was trying to ignore it, but it's kind of tickling them, too.
Yep.
But after a while, it got so bad that my mom just thought, well, it'd be better just to let her go up there with her mama, and then she'll quit crying.
Oh, bad move.
Yeah. She let her go, and she thought, oh, right, I can run. So I grabbed her right before she took off. And
Well, you would have been so much better off with a babysitter.
We didn't really have one.
You need to put an ad in the paper or something.
Yeah, well, everybody pretty much got a kick out of it. I think that was the...
Well, you think everybody might, but they're still talking about you, dear heart.
I know. They might be.
I love you. You take care of yourself.
Okay.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, she got a kick out of it, and maybe the grandmama and the granddaddy got a kick out of it, but I bet you the vast majority of those folks are still talking about that wedding. All right, 1-800-572-8255. More conversation right after this. I want you to put down April 23rd to May 2nd on your calendar. Yes, sirree, because I'm going to take a group of the wackos to England and Scotland, and we're going to have the time of our lives. First class all the way. We're going to see Scotland the way it was meant to be seen. Once you're on board, you call 1-800-906-4232. That's 1-800-906-4232. We're going to England and Scotland.
Dr. Joy Brown.
I could really use your help a lot.
Having a little bit of a problem trying to explain death of a pet to my 5-year-old.
And I see many things around me which depresses me very much.
I haven't been in love for so long.
My mother-in-law and my husband's mother brings up his old girlfriend.
Dr. Joy Brown on News Radio 960, the new WRFC.
I want a nice, quiet place to take a walk.
Not me. I want to play tennis and baseball with my kids.
I want a playground with a big jungle gym.
What do you want in your new community parks? Spelost 4 calls for new parks in East Athens and in Southeast Clark County. 2 public meetings are being held to learn about your likes and dislikes. Where should our 2 new parks be located? What facilities and equipment should be included? Share your ideas on Monday, November 10th at East Friendship Baptist Church or on Thursday, November 13th at Barnett Shoals Elementary School. Both meetings begin at 7 o'clock p.m. Be there. For more information, call the Spelost Program Office at 613-3025.
At Greyhound, we want you to grab someone, your son, your daughter, anyone, because friends and family ride free. Buy a ticket on Greyhound at least 3 days prior to traveling and your companion goes free. That's a free ride for your brother or your sister. Good for travel every day of the week. Some restrictions and limitations apply, so call Greyhound at 1-800-231-2222. Then grab your mom, grab your dad, but do it now, because friends and family can ride free. Then leave the driving to us.
No heavy topics here, gang, just fun conversation. I'm Ludlow Porch. Join me weekdays 10 to noon on News Radio 960, the new WRFC.
They try to tell us we're too young. Too young.
Nat King Cole.
Really
let's talk to lukewarm.
Can I get a
How are you, Luke?
I'm thinking about preaching. That'd be one of my things during the service.
Yeah.
Can I hear a How you doing, laddie?
I'm doing good, Luke. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, that last lady,
yeah,
nice as she was, she was the poster girl for getting that babysitter. Wasn't she?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, biggest mistake I ever made, I think this was the biggest. Not my wedding. I was real pleased with that. Still am.
Good.
August of 71. You remember the movie Love Story?
Yeah.
I think Ally McGraw was in that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been on your show.
Yes, she has, yeah.
That was a movie that was just out the winter before that.
Mm-hmm.
And so my wife and I got married up in Asheboro, North Carolina. We wanted to have Love Story as kind of the theme music in that wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at my wife's parents' house one night, a few days before the wedding, and the preacher called.
Mm-hmm.
Preacher called the house.
Uh-huh.
And he said, "Can I speak to Luke?" And I got on the phone. He said, "Luke, this is Reverend Daniels, and you can do what you want to do, but I just don't feel it's right that Love Story be the theme for your wedding." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "'Cause in the movie they had a love scene."
Uh-huh.
And he didn't think it was right because they had that love scene in that movie.
Uh-huh.
That we have that as our theme. And I didn't want to cause any trouble. And I was young then and didn't really then tried to avoid controversy.
Yeah.
And I gave in to it. And we didn't have it. And I regret that because he's been paid whatever he was paid to do the wedding. I'll just stand there and do the vows and keep his,
You do what I tell you, you're my employee.
That's right, Luddy, I should have said to him, I've thought about this, things I should have said.
Yeah.
I should have said, listen, I'm not looking for Siskel and Ebert thumbs up or thumbs down.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to say the vows so we be legally married.
Mm-hmm.
But a sidebar to that, I was 25, just turned 25, and I was a shy young man.
Yeah.
And look into my beautiful bride's eyes during those vows, it just something about it made me kind of shy.
Mm-hmm.
The whole wedding, my wife still kids me about this, I was looking at Reverend Daniels.
Uh-huh.
All during the vows.
Uh-huh.
She claims I'm married to Reverend Daniels.
Uh-huh.
But I never looked at her. During the whole vows, I never looked at her. So every time I think of my wedding day, I think of Reverend Daniels' big bulgy eyes. And
now, when I see you can get romance anywhere. Think of his robin egg blue eyes.
I ought to send him a card and say, "Hey, Reverend Daniel, this is lukewarm. It's been 26 years since I looked into your eyes and said my wedding vows."
And ask him, could you get together for lunch someday?
Has it been as good for you as it has for me? Hey, Reverend Daniels, you want to go to Tahiti together?
26 years, has it?
That's right. And I just can't get him off my mind.
I got to get out of here, Luke.
I'll talk to you later.
Be good.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Lukewarm. All right, listen. It is about time for us to get out of here. We'll be right back with you in the morning, same time, same, a more than wonderful radio station. And all you folks in Fayetteville, I'll see you at the Fayette Bookshop at 5 o'clock. So come on down and let's get together and fellowship one with another. Between now and tomorrow, you do me a favor. Whatever else you do today, you find somebody to be nice to.
News at the top and bottom of every hour. You're never more than 30 minutes away from the most up-to-date information. On News Radio 960, the new WRFC, Athens.
And good afternoon, I'm Mark Alewine. This is the Athens Noon Update on News Radio 960, the new WRFC. Cloudy skies, 47 degrees on South Millage Avenue.
This is WRFC meteorologist Kathy Francis. The official 3-day forecast is coming up on the Athens Noon Update.
Stories we're following for you this afternoon. The UN Security Council meeting at this hour to vote on a resolution condemning Iraq. A teacher in Northwest Georgia attacked this morning by a student wielding a knife. Plus,
a police standoff in Oconee County leads to the arrest of an Oconee County man. I'm WRFC's Indra Sybil. That story's coming up on the Athens Morning Update.
I'm David Johnston with sports. The Georgia basketball team looking to turn things around tonight. And more of the baseball postseason awards go out this evening. It's the American League MVP.
Taking a look at Wall Street at this hour.